Alright, hey guys. So I wanted to take this video and introduce you to your first assignment for the continuous learning of fourth quarter. I'm going to kind of walk you through what my expectations are, how the process is going to work, and any questions that you might have. So your first assignment is going to be what's known as a Quarantine Keeper prompt entry. So what is a Quarantine Keeper? Since a great deal of our daily life has changed, and I know most of us are kind of under a quarantine or we're under a stay-at-home order from the governor, we're going to reflect on what it is that we can control and kind of our experiences. So beginning this week, we will be adding entries to what is known as a Quarantine Keeper. Kind of think of it like a diary almost. Each week I will post about 1 to 2 reflection questions that I want you to respond to in a diary style response. You don't have to worry about saying like Dear Diary, but I do want you to reflect openly and honestly about what it is the question is asking you. So in your response, I want you to strive for the following requirements. I want you to shoot for about 7 to 10 sentences minimum of your writing. If you have a lot to write about, you can definitely go longer, but because I'm only assigning, like I said, maybe 1 to 2 of these a week, and you're only getting about 30 minutes of work from ELA, that 7 to 10 is a kind of fair amount of writing that I'm expecting to see from you guys. I want you to make sure that you're answering the prompt in its entirety, meaning restating the prompt as a part of your writing. So kind of like we talked about, especially when we were working through Woodsong, is making sure that you are restating the kind of question that's being posed to you as your first sentence. So today's prompt is going to be kind of reflecting on what your spring break was like and maybe how the COVID-19 outbreak might have impacted that. So you might say, during my spring break, I did the following, fill in the blank. So making sure that you're answering the prompt in its entirety, and being free from grammatical or spelling errors. And we're going to kind of talk about how to best address that in the form that you're going to be writing. So how can I respond to these questions? You're going to have some choice and voice in this and how you want to write, but then there's going to be one way that I want you to turn this into me. So the choice is yours on how you would like to respond to these questions. Some of you may choose to journal about these in a pencil and paper format. So maybe you have a notebook at home and you just kind of want to jot down or write down what it is you're kind of going through. Maybe that's more comfortable for you. That's perfectly fine. Whereas some of you might choose to write about them on your computer. You might open up a Google Doc and kind of answer the question there. However you choose to work on these, you're going to be turning them into me via Google Classroom assignments. So I'm going to post an assignment. If you've handwritten it, I'm going to ask that you take a picture of it and then post that onto maybe a Google Doc so I can see what it is you've written. If you wrote it on a Google Doc, I'm just going to ask that you copy and paste it over into the Google Classroom assignment. So because these aren't going to be a graded assignment, I will be responding to each one of your journal entries with feedback. Maybe kind of commenting on what you experienced and how that was similar to what I experienced. So please try to have each entry uploaded by 9 a.m. the following morning. So that's going to give me enough time to kind of give you feedback before I assign you your next prompt. So as an example, if I post a question at like 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, I should expect to see your response submitted on Google Classroom at 9 a.m. that next Thursday. So that gives me time to go back through, respond to each student and kind of give you some feedback and maybe, some words of encouragement in these tough times. So every Friday, we're going to be doing kind of what's known as a Reflection Friday, because I know it might be a little bit weird to be in a classroom, quote unquote, setting where you don't have a whole lot of peer interaction. So to add some peer interaction to our Quarantine Keeper, we're going to be doing a Flipgrid reflection on Friday. So you will be expected to answering the following in your Flipgrid response. So you're going to do a brief summary of just one of your journal entries. So this week you're going to have 2. You're just going to pick the one that you felt really passionate about. You're going to talk briefly about what you wrote about and why it was meaningful to you. I'm going to put a timer limit on the actual Flipgrid itself for about like 1 minute and 30 seconds, but I want you to shoot for about 1 minute of a Flipgrid response. Now, to make this a little bit more interactive, I want you guys to respond to a classmate. So you're going to respond to at least one other classmate in your hour. Please make sure that, hopefully by now you've watched that netiquette video. I want you guys being positive and respectful. Know that, everybody's experience with this might be a little bit different. Your response to your peer is going to be a little bit shorter, so shoot for about 30 seconds to a minute. Say, hey, I had this similar experience. I like when you said this. I kind of miss being able to hang out with you in class. Give them some positivity in these kind of trying times. Now, I want to talk about your first Quarantine Keeper response. So, Quarantine Keeper question number 1, and you're going to see that this has been posted on Google Classroom as well, is the following. Tell me about your spring break. Did what is happening in the world affect it? If so, how? So some questions, if that's kind of a hard question to begin answering right away, some questions you might think about to help you answer that question would be, if you were able to travel, where did you go? How did you get there? Did you fly? Did you drive? Did you take Amtrak? If you were there limitations when you got there? If you didn't travel, say maybe you had travel plans and they were canceled, what did you do while you stayed in Kansas? What did you do to relax during your spring break? I know there was a lot of kind of progressing news about COVID-19, and all of us, it's a lot of heavy news to hear, but what did you do to kind of shut that away and relax and take some time for yourself? Who did you spend most of your spring break with? So did you get to go hang out with friends and relatives? Did you hang out with some of your peers? Did you go hang out with your cat, with your dog? Did you hang out mostly with your parents? Did you hang out with your siblings? Who did you spend your spring break with? So remember that your response to this question needs to be about 7 to 10 sentences long. You can use those brainstorming questions above to kind of help you think about what you might choose to include in your response. By no means am I asking you to have all of those answered, but those are kind of a diving board for your first response. So, all the best. Try to have some fun with this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have written about.